What I consider to be the best advice that a leader can give a follower is such that is not often pleasant to the ears of the follower. Usually, when followers look to their leaders for advice, they get what they don't typically want to hear, at least from good leaders. I can't say much for what they get from bad leaders, but if you are dealing with a good leader, the best advice you would get, the advice that incidentally will help you the most, is not the one that you typically would love to hear. But if you are smart, you would pay attention to it. You will put the bitterness of it aside and you will work it out in your life, in your situation, and guaranteed you would get the results that you desire. And so, welcome to Leadership in 30 Minutes. Once again, today, my name remains Olatunji Shobodu. I'm your uncle on this series that is brought to you by Emmet Leadership Academy, where we nurture leaders based on truth, the truth that is found in the Word of God. And there I am, the founder and CEO. Today, therefore, I want to look at the leader's best counsel. The leader's best counsel. What every leader also needs to know about giving advice. What do you need to know about giving advice to your followers? Leaders are sources of advice or counsel, as the case may be. And you want to be, as a credible leader, a source of credible counsel. Credible counsel will be one that helps the follower or the one who is asking for it out of whatever situation they have found themselves out of, which they need to get out. All right. So what is that counsel? What is that advice? What should the leader know about how to give credible counsel? And I'm going to borrow from a counsel that was given by one, I believe, who should know, and one who actually gave that counsel. And that's a counsel that sits well with me. I can understand why it is. I can justify why that counsel is the best for any leader to give. And that counsel was expressed as follows. And you would find it in the Bible in 2 Corinthians 13 and verse 5. And it says, examine yourself if you are still in the faith. Test yourself. Don't you know that Christ is in you, except if you have failed? That's what the counsel says. And it's a powerful advice. I consider it the best, if not one of the best, counsels, advice that a leader can give. What should we take note of there? Examine yourself. I spoke about it, a bit from a different perspective earlier this week on Leadership Monday, when I brought you the nugget to help you do leadership right this week. So you want to check that. Examine yourself if you are still in the faith. In this case, examine yourself if you are still in the race. Now you go to a leader and you express, your issues to the leader, And the leader looks at you and says, gentleman, hello, lady, examine yourself to know if you are still in the race. Examine yourself. All right? The leader causes you to focus on who matters most, not even what matters most. That's profound, and you should take note of that. It says, look, the answer to the issues that you are facing is more in you than anywhere else. Examine yourself. Are you still on course? Are you still doing what you are supposed to be doing? Examine yourself. Are you in control? Examine yourself. That's likely to be where the issue is. Examine yourself. The changes that need to be made, the actions that need to be taken, they are more with you than they are with anybody else. Examine yourself focuses you on the need for you to take responsibility. Examine yourself suggests to you and encourages you, all right, to the fact that you have what it takes. And there is an action that you need to take that will resolve the situation that you have at hand. And that's not one of the things that many followers like to hear. All right, you run to somebody, I need help, and the person is saying, examine yourself. And you think the person is not being helpful. I mean, if I could do this, if I could get this done, why would I come to you? But that's the best way to get you to take responsibility. That's the best way to get you to focus on what usually matters the most. Why do I say that? Because you examine yourself typically when you are in a journey, and to know whether you are still on the right course to your desired destination. So before you embarked on the journey, there is something you must have learned. There is a map that you must have laid out. There is justification that you must have established for wanting to go the route, that you have mapped out. So when you run to somebody for help, or you ask for help, especially from a leader whose focus is on developing you, the leader asking you to look at yourself and check whether you are still on the right path is asking you, you started on a certain basis, go and review that basis and see where you have missed it. All right. Now, the issue about whether or not you succeed is in your hands. We're told the book of the law should not depart from you, your mouth, meditate on it night and day, observe to do all that is written in it, then you will make your way prosperous, and you will achieve good success. Please tell me whose responsibility is at the center of the quest for prosperity, the quest for good success is you. You guessed right. So when a leader focuses you on you, the leader is a great one, knows his onions. Why? Because he knows that it's all about you. You are the one who is going to work things out. You are the one. In that illustration, He said the book of the law should not depart from you. So there is a place from where you sourced everything that you are doing, the process that you are following, the principles that you are putting in, executing. All right. There's from there you observe the actions you are taking, hopefully based on your understanding. So if you get caught up anywhere along the line and you run to a leader, what is he going to ask you to do? Examine yourself. Check where you're coming from. Check the principles that you are implementing. Check the process that you are following. And if you embrace that indeed, you are bound to resolve the issue. You are bound to resolve the issue. The leader doesn't just feed you, as it were. Remember, Jesus said, follow me, I will make you fishers of men. I'm going to teach you how to do it. I'm not just going to be feeding you with fish. I'm going to teach you how to do it. That counsel, examine yourself, is perfectly consistent, with that. Let me share another illustration. A man came running to a leader. He acknowledged the leader. He said, good leader, what must I do to enjoy a rich and satisfying life? The Bible calls it eternal life. He ran to the leader. He was acknowledged to be a wealthy man. But let's leave that aside for now. He wanted something. He ran to the leader. Obviously, he couldn't get what he wanted. He was stuck. If he could get it, he would. He wouldn't have to go to the leader. So he was stuck. He was at a crossroad. He said, what must I do? What must I do? And guess what the leader said to him? The leader said, but you know the rules. He said, the commandments. He said, go and obey them. And that's it. What was the leader saying? The leader was saying to him, examine yourself. You have been running. You have come this far. There is a process you have followed. There are principles that you are following. Now you are at a crossroad. Well, the best counsel I can give you, the best advice I can give you as a leader, as the so-called good leader in this case, is look inwards. Look at yourself. Examine. How have you been playing? How have you been running this race? Because if you have not been running blindly and you are sincere enough, you will discover where things have gone wrong. And that was what he said to the guy. And the guy looked at him. And again, this is another mistake that we make as followers when we receive this kind of counsel that we really, doesn't really sit well with us. I mean, I came to you, you said I should examine myself. And the guy says, quite frankly, I'm paraphrasing now, said, if it's about those commandments, I mean, I have been observing those commandments since I was, a youth. So he overrated himself, actually. He wasn't sincere about what he was asked to do. It was too, he just didn't want to take responsibility. Because if you were the kind of person who understood the quality of the counsel you have been given by the leader, you would go away, sit down, and really drill down, examine each of those so-called rules or commandments to see how well you have complied. He said, I have complied with them since I was a youth. And the leader smiled. Said, okay, since you have complied with them from your youth, I'm going to give you a test to show that you have not complied with them. To show that if you bother to examine yourself, you would have found out where you are going wrong. And the leader said, go and sell all that you have and distribute it to the poor, and then come and follow me. And guess what? The guy couldn't do that. The guy could not do that. He went away. And he was sorrowful. Why did you have to do that to yourself? The man said, examine yourself. That's all you should have done. Now he has given you a test to show that it is not true that you have complied with those, commandments. Because if you have, those commandments are all about expressing love. Now, love, one of the ways of expressing it is in giving. He said, okay, so go and sell all that you have, give to the poor. If you were truly compliant with those commandments, you would have done that. At least you would have been willing to do part of it. But you weren't. You went away, basically saying, no, that's too hard for me to do. So clearly, you've not been walking in love. Clearly, you've not been, blessing people. You are rich, but you've not been blessing people. And you want eternal life, but these are the things that you have to do to secure it. And that shows you that these, advice, examine yourself, this advice that focuses you on you, challenging you to x-ray yourself in order to determine where you have gone wrong, telling you you are more the issue than anything else. That's usually, where we are challenged, what we can't embrace. And it's us walking away from leaders like that, thinking that they are not helpful. But they are very helpful. The truth, they say, is bitter. Examine yourself. The best counsel that you can get from a leader, to challenge you, to look at yourself, to examine your approach, to assess the quality of your execution, to be sincere and true to yourself, to challenge you to be intentional about what you do. Examine yourself. There is a way to get things done. Are you following that way? Do you even have a way that you are following, or you are just flying blind? Yes, a leader can still help you, but wants you to be sincere. It reminds me of, my days in the university. And, I was fond of, as part of my preparations, collecting past questions in any course I'm taking for like 5 years. And I make sure that I solve every single question in those past examinations. It was part of the way I prepared for any course that I was taking. So as I was doing this in a particular course, I had some questions I couldn't solve myself, and my colleagues couldn't help. So I went to the lecturer and, said to the lecturer, I need help in this area. And guess what he said? Basically, something like this. He said to me, let me see the attempt that you have made. Wow. I didn't come with any attempt. Yes, I had made some attempt, but I didn't come with anything. I had nothing to show him. He said, well, go and do it. Go and try it. Let me see what you have done. When I see what you have done, then we know where to go from there. Examine yourself. Now, he threw the challenge back at me. Go and sit down and work this thing out. And let's see, what you know, what you don't know, so that I know exactly where to intervene. Don't just come expecting me to say, okay, this is the question, to start solving it for you. No, that's not going to be helpful to you. That won't be helpful to you. But you look inwards, put in your effort, challenge yourself, which was what that did to me. I had to go back and sit down and really take a look at this thing again and try my very best, look at different angles, because I didn't want to go to him to show him that I had not made a very credible effort. You see part of why that counsel is powerful and is the best. So ultimately I went to him with what I had tried. And when he saw it, he said, okay, great. And he simply pointed one line to me and showed me what I ought to have done there, which was where the mistake was. And from there, I mean, I was okay. I could solve the problem. He didn't even have to follow. He just pointed out when he looked at what I had done and pointed out, where the issue was. And that was all I needed. So I basically still solved the problem myself, but his input had challenged me to look inwards. That way, I could really define the boundaries of my knowledge. And he was able to intervene to say, okay, this is what you do at this point. And once he said that, he didn't have to say anything else. I could take it from there and just, run the problem through. That's how it is. The leader's best counsel. The best counsel you can give to any follower as a leader is to ask them to examine themselves, to point them back to themselves as the real source of the solution for all the reasons that I have identified. Because whether any of us succeeds or not is not really in the hands of the leader. It's in our own hands. Ultimately, the leader can guide, all right? But you are the one who is going to do. You are the one who is going to execute. The final responsibility, all right, lies with you. As far as success is concerned, the buck does not stop at the desk of the leader. The buck stops at your desk as a follower. As far as success is concerned, as far as success in your relationship with the leader is concerned, the buck stops at the follower's desk, not at the leader's desk. All right? No leader can force you to become anything that you don't want to be. All right? None. That's it for Leadership in 30 Minutes today. We've been speaking on the leader's best counsel, or the best advice that every leader can give to a follower. And that is point them back to themselves, challenge them to examine themselves, to know if they are still on course in the race. See you again tomorrow. Monday is going to be another opportunity to receive a nugget, that helps you to do leadership right. And while, we're at it, have a wonderful rest of the week. God bless you. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.